Hey everybody, Quantum here, and in this video I wanted to go over the set 4 Ursula's Return spoilers. I haven't taken a look at too many of these cards, but the purpose of this video is to give you a little bit of my perspective on what I think might become meta cards. If you watched any of my videos from set 3 when we did like market watches or card reviews prior to the set coming out, I kind of called things that I thought would be good meta cards, things that would be worth money, things that you might want to pick up before they start being used in all these meta decks and the prices start to spike, and adversely what might be hyped up and come down over time. So I'm not going to get it perfect, and this is not financial advice by any means, but let's go ahead and take a look at some cards and see what might be meta relevant. So this is Lorcana.gg, a good place to kind of house all of what's been revealed so far. So we've got the Madrigal archetype, I guess you can call it now, in the game. This one is in a different language, but I think if you click on it, it will give you the translation here. So, matriarch of the family, Alma. At the table, when you play this character, look at your deck. You may reveal a Madrigal character card, shuffle your deck, and put that card on the top of it. So this is the first Tutor-esque kind of card I think we've seen in Lorcana. So it's very interesting to see the game progressing this way. We knew at some point, if you've ever played card games, that this kind of card will be coming. It's not bringing it to your hand right away. It's just putting it on top of your deck so you draw it later, which is very interesting. But these cards historically in card games have been extremely powerful. This particular one maybe not so much right now because it's not bringing it to your hand, but when you do get those cards that bring it to your hand, things like why the Ariel Spectacular Singer from set 1 is so strong is because reveal 4, take a song to your hand. It's very, very powerful, right? It's why that card has been a staple in Amber Song decks since its release. So will this be a meta relevant card, maybe in the Madrigal archetype or that deck type for Amber? And whatever ink pairings that this card goes with, but will this deck be meta relevant? Hard to say. I don't think it'll be as impactful as the Merlin Min package was in set 2, but who knows? We'll have to wait and find out. I don't think it is right now. This card isn't as powerful as maybe it should be right now, but over time, you know, as we get powerful or more powerful Madrigal cards, this card might be able to set up some interesting stuff for you in the future. So we've got a new Singer, Ariel, Singing Mermaid, a 4-cost, 3/3 body. So relatively weak, but again, 4-cost inkable, but it's a Singer 7. So immediately what comes to mind is Sing Be Prepared very early, which is very, very interesting for the Amber Ruby archetype because it's a very nice way for you to deal with those aggro decks. And in this game right now, I think you need a way to slow the game down. The game is way too focused on aggro, I think. You see sometimes these control decks like Ruby Sapphire and Sapphire Steel be able to make an impact in the meta, but in the latest tournament you saw that Emerald decks kind of just dominated because they're low to the ground, winning on with 4 ink, low to the ground, just questing for a lot of lore, but still being able to control the aspects of the game because of Ursula Deceiver to rip like powerful songs out of the opponent's hand to kind of maintain their board state. Like, we need ways to play around stuff like that. This sort of facilitates that. Getting it out on turn 4, having it ready to sing next turn on turn 5. How strong is that going to be? I mean, you can still get your Be Prepared ripped out of your hand. So doesn't solve that problem necessarily, but you know, in the later stages of the game, setting this up with a strong song could be very, very powerful. And with a new mechanic we're going to see in the game, I think that you can use this card as a Singer 7 and pair it with like a 3-cost character to sing for a total of 10 for the new mechanic of Sing Together, which we'll take a look at a little bit later. Some generic cards here. Harp. At the end of your turn, if you didn't play a song, banish this character. So it's a 1-cost, 1/4, which is really strong, that quest for 2, but if you didn't play a song, it is going to get banished, so I don't think this is really that great. New Musketeer support, 4-cost, uninkable, 3/4 body. Whenever you play a character with Bodyguard ready, this character, he can't quest for the rest of the turn. So you quest with it, you play a Bodyguard, you ready it, maybe it sings a song. That's about all that's going to be useful for. Musketeers maybe making a comeback, we'll see. Another Madrigal card here. When you play this character, remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. If you remove damage this way, you may draw a card. 3-cost, 1/4 body. You know, you may look at this and think like, oh my gosh, Rapunzel, but I think this is a little bit more akin to Maleficent Sorceress on the Amethyst side, where it's a 3-cost character that potentially draws you a card, whereas the Maleficent is a 3-cost character that's a 2/2 body that does draw you a card. So, you know, pros and cons for this, kind of like the Maleficent, in my opinion, of Amber, not really a budget Rapunzel, because Rapunzel is able to draw you 3 cards, which is miles of a difference compared to drawing 1. So next up, we've got Mickey Mouse, leader of the band, support. When you play this character, chosen character gets support, so nothing spectacular there. You've got the legendary Amber, shift 5, bodyguard, and support. Interesting, a 3/6 body. 7 cost uninkable though, which is unfortunate. 3/6 immediately makes you think of Robin Hood. Got a couple of nice effects. Is shiftable, but on turn 5. So Robin Hood is, in my opinion, way more versatile than this because it's inkable, it's less cost, it shifts for cheaper, and it has really very good abilities. But this character says when you play this character, if you use shift to play him, you may draw a card for each character with bodyguard you have in play. So a quest for 2. It is Medusa-able. It survives as Zeus. Drawing a card for every bodyguard you have in play, that is very relevant, but you do need to shift it. So what other good Mickey cards are we going to have? The bodyguard mechanic is really only in Amber and Steel right now, so you have to be pairing this with either just Amber and obviously and something else, or Amber Steel to get the most out of your bodyguards potentially. Musketeer's Tabard also allows you to draw when bodyguards are banished. How much of a draw engine does bodyguards have? Will they become a meta deck? Interesting. Not sure. Again, you're not going to be shifting this on like a Mickey Mouse Musketeer that costs 6 to play anyways, so it depends on what other cheaper Mickey Mouses you have in Steel and Amber. Mainly in Amber, you got one right here, but you're not going to play this and then try to shift it next turn, right? So a little interesting concept there. You got Minnie Mouse, another Musketeer card, bodyguard. And when you play this character, banish an opposing character with 5 or more strength, and that's a super rare. So akin to World's Greatest Criminal Mind, but that is a 3-cost inkable song, which is more versatile than this. This is still a body that quests for 2, but its uninkability I think hurts it, and it has like no strength. So you saw World's Greatest Criminal Mind shift in and out of the Amber Steel Song deck based on kind of how the meta was going. I think in the end, Amber Steel Song opted to play it because it needed to deal with Tamatoas and Maleficent Dragons on the Ruby Sapphire side mainly, and just any Sapphire deck that plays Tamatoa. So does this character see play? In a bodyguard deck, potentially, maybe like as a 1 or 2 of, but I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't just run World's Greatest Criminal Mind for the versatility of being able to ink it. Yes, this is a 5-cost, uninkable 2-questing body, but if your opponent doesn't play 5 or higher strength characters, like if you're going up against an Emerald Steel deck, let's say, this card is kind of dead, right? It is a bodyguard, but again, I think the uninkability hurts it too much. You got another super rare and a Madrigal card here. Support, whenever this character quests, your other Madrigal characters get +1. So again, within the archetype could be useful. Another Maribel here as a common, just with support, 2-cost 2/2, okay. Cool Stitch art for a 2/3 body for 2. Then you move down to the human form URSULA'S, which is very interesting. Eric's Bride, this one's a rare. Shift and discard a card. So that's quite a hefty cost. You have to lose a character on your board, which, if you're pairing this, like the immediate thing that comes to mind is Emerald, right? Shift this on top of your Ursula Deceiver and discard a card. Like, you don't have to pay ink, right? So it's not a tempo loss, but you discard a card instead. So you discard a card, you play this on top of like your Ursula Deceiver, you quest, you get the very powerful ability to look at your opponent's hand, discard a non-character card of their choice. That's pretty strong. So if you think about like Emerald Amber, turn 2 you play Ursula Deceiver, rip a song out of their hand, you kind of see their hand, you know if there's another card you want to rip out of there. Turn 3 you play Prince John, right? Yes, it's unfortunate you couldn't play Prince John and then Ursula Deceiver to rip the card and get the draw, but then you can shift this card for free by discarding a card. So you're able to play Prince John and this Ursula on top of your 2-cost Ursula that you played on turn 2, assuming you have all 3 of these cards in your hand, which is pretty unlikely, right? You don't want to build a deck specifically around a very specific combo, but this is just some of the potential, right? Then you quest with this, gain 2 lore, reveal the hand again, discard a card, draw a card with Prince John. Like, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Even though Amber Emerald isn't really too meta, but it is an aggro combination that, can be good and was played a lot in set 1. Then you've got this regular Ursula, Vanessa, 2-cost inkable 1/4 singer 4. So immediately what comes to mind is Amber Steel Song singing Along Came Zeus. Is this card good enough to replace anything else that Amber Steel Song plays? Hard to say. In the 2-cost slot for Amber Steel Song right now, what do you got? Like Mr. Smee, you don't really play Simba anymore. I think getting more singers would be useful, especially as we get better and better songs. We'll have to wait and see what songs are available in this set. And does Amber finally branch out and being able to be played in other color combinations where these singer abilities can be used to play other songs from other inks? We don't know yet. We'll see. 2 cost Bruno's Return. Return a character from your discard to your hand. Similar to the set 1 card, I think it's a Part of Your World. That is a song, cost 3. It is also uninkable to take a character back from your discard to your hand. This one has the ability to remove 2 damage from a chosen character as well, which is interesting. 2 cost, uninkable action. Don't think this really sees play. Just a little too slow on the tempo. Lost the game. Has already become very fast. Like I said, if Ravensburger wants some of these cards to be used in constructed, you need to slow the game down. You need to give mid-range and control decks more options to deal with aggro in the early game. We've got our first Sing Together card here, so a total of 7, or just play it with that new aerial that will be able to sing for 7. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal 2 character cards, put them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck. Very interesting cards. So another scrying card that, you know, is a +2, but I guess if you sing this, you don't really lose tempo, right? So this card could really be powerful with the new aerial, even without the aerial, right? It is inkable at worst, but you can combine any characters on board to sing this. If you have like a 1 cost Cinderella that's a singer 3, pretty sure you can use that to fulfill 3 cost of the sing, and then you just need 4 more costing characters to fulfill this requirement. And you know, again, if you're able to sing this, you have all your ink available for whatever characters you pick up. You're able to play that turn. So this card, I think, will definitely be an interesting one to keep in mind. I think it'll see some play. I don't know if it'll be a mainstay in Amber Steel song decks, because again, it is a very hefty cost despite it having a Sing Together. And you got to remember, if you're singing, you're not questing, you're not progressing your lore state. So how much do you value digging and scrying for characters over, you know, an aggro strategy with Amber Steel song and questing, right? So it's an interesting card. I would probably pick them up just to have them, but I don't think it should be worth too much. We're going to skip over all of these on commons and commons. This card is actually interesting, Miracle Candle. So I've talked about non-questing sources of lore, and one of the reasons that Amber Steel Song, especially if you watched the latest 5K over this past May 4th weekend, you saw that both the Amber Steel Song lists in the top 16 were running flutes. There were no Pride Land versions, there were no Lantern versions. And I've talked about this before because non-questing sources of lore are very important now in the game in order to overcome some of the control decks, like even aggro decks with like Emerald Steel aim to remove your characters from your board to stop you from questing. So having a card like this, 2 cost inkable, banish this item, and you have 3 characters if you have 3 characters in play, and gain 2 lore, and then remove 2 damage from locations, kind of, I don't want to say irrelevant, but that's not really why you're playing this. But you know, Amber is known for being able to play out a lot of small characters, and then just being able to gain 2 lore instantly is very, very, very useful. This card is kind of interesting. It's a common, but I just don't think there's enough in this card to displace other relevant Amber cards. I'm not going to review that location. It's probably not worth playing. I mean, it does cost 1, doesn't gain you lore, but 2 to move there. You don't really need to slow down your progression in order to set up a combo that, you know, this location gets outed instantly or something. Moving on to Amethyst, you got Belle, Accomplished Mystic, super rare, shift 3. So interesting to see what bells we might get in this set that are lower cost. When you play this character, move up to 3 damage counters from a chosen character to chosen opposing character. So you can move damage from yours or your opponent's character, it looks like. This is interesting. I think immediately what comes to mind is Amethyst Steel, right? So if I'm, you know, casting like Strength of the Raging Fire, let the Storm Rage on, dealing damage to a character, you know, am I able to move that damage to finish off another character? I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. Yeah, very interesting. Like you damage characters, they're sitting on board. Your opponent plays a big threat, and you're like, okay, I got to deal with that. You play this Belle, you're moving the damage counters to the newly ready threat that they just played in order to out it. Again, kind of specific, not sure if it's that great, but, you know, 5 cost inkable, 4/4 body, that quest for 2. Kind of gives you vibes of Jim Hawkins in that stat line. The ability, again, a little situational, and I think these kind of situational abilities generally end up not being the greatest. So, yeah, I think that's a pass. But, you know, interesting card. Cool artwork for sure. Bruno. Oh, yeah, I'm not going to review this. This one is basically just a slower, not a slower, but like a Dr. Facilier kind of effect on play. This card is interesting. Camillo Madrigal, 2/5 body. That's a 4 inkable card. Quest for 1. At the start of your turn, just choose 1. This character will quest for 2 this turn, or this character will gain Challenger 2, making it a 4/5 body for 4. So this is very interesting. I think this card is pretty good. It's an uncommon, so it wouldn't be hard to get. The issue with this card in Amethyst is in the 4 cost slot, this is competing with goats and rabbits. Is it enough to displace those? Hard to say. Being a 4/5 body, goat is already a 4/3 and it gains you lore. This card, is it worth keeping over a goat? Let's say, just hypothetical purposes. I know you could play this and goat, but then you're kind of oversaturating your 4-drop. At the start of your turn, if this survives, you quest for 2, so that replaces the goat on play and leave play, gain a lore, lose a lore. You have the versatility of making it a 4/5 body. Goat is already a 4/5 body. So how much do you really need to Challenger +2? I think I'd rather just play goat from that logic. But interesting card overall, I guess. Like, goat gets you the lore on play. Then if it survives, you quest, you gain a lore, that's 2 lore. Then when it leaves play, you gain a lore, that's 3 lore. Plus goat is bounceable. Yeah, I think goat is still overall the better card. Hard. Like, I really do like this card. The 4/5 stat line is nice for a challenger, but like when goat challenges, usually it's banished after, right? Because the 3 toughness is nothing, whereas this card will likely survive. So that versatility is interesting. I don't think it displaces goat. Maybe it's meant to be played in that and like a Madrigal focus deck, like Amber Amethyst, definitely. Well, again, would you replace goat? But this is within the archetype. I don't know. I'm spending too much time on this card. Dolores, 4 cost, inkable, 3/3. When you play this character, and if an opponent has an exerted character in play, you may draw a card. Again, just why would you play this over a rabbit? You know, rabbit is a guaranteed draw. This has a condition to draw a card. Yes, it quests for 2. It's a 3/3 body. Rabbit's a 2/3. This is inkable. Rabbit's not. But rabbit represents, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is better because it's inkable. Your opponent is likely always going to have an exerted card, right? But you play this, you know, are you going to bounce this with a mim card? Would you rather bounce a rabbit? So it's a very interesting toolbox that you're being offered here with the Madrigal cards. Literally contrasting goat and rabbit right here. Very interesting. Elsa, a rare Storm Chaser, 1/4 body for 3 uninkable. Again, slow. You have to play it, wait a turn, then you can use the ability. So right away I'm thinking this is not going to be great. But I guess it makes sense because chosen character gains Challenger +2 and Rush. So you play this on turn 3, let's say. Turn 4 you play, you know, Dolores. You draw a card, the opponent has an exerted character. You use the Elsa to give it Challenger +2 and Rush. So now it's a 5/3 body that can challenge whatever the opponent has exerted on their side. So you played this, you drew a card, and then you're able to challenge whatever the opponent has exerted on their field at a 5/3 body. Again, situational to have these 2 cards, but you know, this works with anything, obviously. I just think it's still a little too slow. You know, 1/4 body on turn 3, it likely survives anyways, so you're likely going to get the ability off. But there's a lot of things we've seen dealing with, you know, 2 or less strength characters already, so very easily outable. And then you kind of just lose tempo because it does cost you your whole turn on turn 3, assuming you drop this. Dropping this late game, likely it just gets destroyed late game, so, and it's not inkable. So again, very situational. Don't really see it being played. I'm not going to go over these guys. I think they're kind of gimmicky. Isabella, interesting card, rare. 5 cost, inkable, 3/4 body, evasive. During your turn, if no other character quests this turn, this character gets +3 lore, so it quests for 4. This is interesting. So at the start of your turn, this character immediately is sitting at 4 lore. Then you quest with a character, it's down to 1. So I know I'm kind of going out on a limb here, but like Lucky Dime, you use the ability, you get 4 lore. Then you can quest with your other characters, reduce this down to the 1 lore. But then what would you really do with that? Like, you're going to challenge with this at a 3/4 body? Probably not. It is evasive. You quest with this. This is your quester. Your other characters on board are your challengers, let's say. I think this card has some potential, but again, it just seems like a bit gimmicky. Yeah, hard to say. I mean, it is an evasive character that can quest for 4. That's a 5 cost. Maybe it is really good. Like, because again, if you're in a game state where things are going back and forth, your characters are constantly being removed, the 4 toughness is sort of relevant, and being evasive, questing for 4, especially if this is like, you know, your only character that you developed on turn 5 because your board was getting outed. Or, you know, I think this card can be pretty good. I would definitely look at picking up copies of this for sure, because I think this card might spike once people start to experiment a little bit more. Hard to say though. I think it's good enough, in my opinion. Got our Mulan for Amethyst, 4 cost uninkable, 4/3 body with rush. Pepa Madrigal and Mrs. Potts, both rares. It looks like rain. When you play this character, you may exert chosen opposing character. That character can't ready at the start of their next turn unless they're out of location. So kind of like a budget Elsa, 5 cost uninkable, 1/5 body though. Just seems too expensive. Uninkable. I mean, it's a really great effect. We need more low cost exerting effects, kind of like Pinocchio, but on a 1/5 body that quests for 1, I think I'd rather just play Elsa. I mean, I know that costs 8, but the guaranteed tap down of 2 and then no condition of a location to keep them tapped down at the start of the turn. Again, within the archetype of Madrigal, maybe, but hard to say. If I don't think this card sees play. Just the 5 cost uninkable is too expensive to displace other cards in Amethyst. Mrs. Potts, quest for 2, 4 cost inkable, 3/4 body. So again, not too bad on the regular stats here. When you play this character, if you have a character named Lumiere or Cogsworth in play, you may draw a card. Okay, so again, situational. You play this for the stat line. You know, you don't want to play these cards that are conditional upon a combo. It's kind of like the Jiminy Cricket and Pinocchio thing. So, and you know, that doesn't see play at all. So if this does see play, it would be for the stat line. But again, this is not going to displace anything in the 4 cost slot for Amethyst. Peter Pan, the super rare. Another 2/3. Instead of costing 4 though, it costs 3. Shadow Finder. Man, the Peter Pan cards are so cool. Rush Evasive. Okay. I like it. Your other characters with evasive gain rush. Oh, so Peter Pan and his Shadow finally combo. What? Okay, so not combo, because sorry, each of them give the other, like, they both have the same ability, right? But they'll give other characters with rush or evasive either or ability, basically, if I'm thinking that through correctly. So this one quests for 1, whereas the other Peter Pan Shadow quests for 2. Rush and evasive. The problem is, like, this card is inherently, I think, weaker than Peter Pan Shadow, because usually your evasive characters don't need rush. Like, you're not challenging with your evasive characters, right? Because they're understated, because they have the ability of evasive. So it's way more like the rush characters are way better to have evasive to deal with opposing evasives, right? That's why you played Peter Pan Shadow, because like are you gonna give your Minnie Mouse stylish surfer at a 1/3 body rush? Are you gonna give your Goofy at a 3/4 body rush? No, you don't care about that, right? So Peter Pan Shadow giving like Maui evasive, giving Mim Fox evasive. These are overstated bodies for their cost. Maui's a 5 cost, 6/5. Mim Fox is a 4 strength, 3 cost character. So yeah, interesting. We've already reviewed this Ursula. Shift 5, man, Amethyst, Emerald looking nice with this one. 7 cost inkable, 4/7 body. Whenever this character quests, exert chosen character. Very strong. Man, just shift, quest for 3, exert a character, and then hopefully take it out. So small Ursula's, this card I think will be one of the money legendaries of the set. Oh my gosh, Ursula, why does she have so many good cards, man? Holy. Man. Yeah, this card will definitely be one of the chase legendaries, I think. Like the quest for 3 at a 7 body, and notice what they did, guys. The 4 strength, it doesn't die to Medusa like the set 1 Ursula does. 7 strength, like again, just a beefy. Yeah, this character is. Yeah, this card is going to be. Yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be one of the chases. I think for sure. Don't know what this is. Let's see. Song 2, Poor Unfortunate Souls. Return a character, item, or location with cost 2 or less to their player's hand. Interesting tempo card. Again, we need more of these things to deal with aggro. So very interesting. A common, cost 2. I think this probably can see play. Sorry, is it cost 2 or strength 2? I think it's cost, right? Cost 2. So it hits Smee, it hits Flynn Rider, it hits Cursed Merfolk. But again, if you're hitting 1-drops with this, it's probably like less than ideal. I just can't get over this Ursula, man. Wow. What a card. This is interesting, though. We really do need sideboards in this game, man. There's so many cards that would be like techable for sideboards. Anyways, moving on. Sing together. Sing 10. There's 7 right there. But, I mean, you're probably not singing with this. Chosen player just draws 5 cards. Man. People are going to be cooking with this. For sure. I think this card is worth getting a playset of. Not that you'd probably ever play 4, but, you know, load up the board, draw 5 cards. It seems pretty strong. Yeah, this card, I think. Again, it's, I mean, you know, maybe you play like 2 of this. You go wide enough with an Amethyst package. Like, I mean, I don't know. Amethyst Steel, you don't really need more card draw like this. It's really in Ruby Amethyst you'd want to play this, or any other Amethyst combination. But I'm just trying to think, like, where can you load up the board enough that you can, like, I mean, Amethyst, man, Amethyst Amber with the Singers, looking pretty nice, man. Perdita, Snow White, you know, the Singers singing this. Man, if you pair this with Emerald and the Ursula Deceiver, if Ursula Deceiver sings this card with other characters, do you draw 10? And then put this to the bottom of your deck? That's wild. I don't know how that, I wonder how that interaction works. Because she sung it with other characters. Like in Emerald Amethyst. I mean, I don't know if you really need to do that because, I mean, friend on the other side already is draw 4, which is enough to win you the game usually when you get that off. But, like, can you imagine drawing 10 if that's how this would work? That's crazy. Mystical Rose, another rare. Banish this item. Chosen character named Beast gets +2. This is a 2-cost inkable item. If you have a character named Belle in play, move up to 3 damage counters from chosen character to... Okay, so kind of the super rare Belle effect. Similar to, like, the Jafar lamp thing or whatever that you had in set 3. You know, makes your Beast Tragic Hero quest for 4 in Amethyst Steel. You don't play well, you don't play any beasts in Emerald. You don't play the Rush Beast. You don't play the Beast Relentless. So, wait a minute. Beast Relentless, you play this, it quests for 4. If you're able to deal damage, it readies up, it quests for 4 again. Oh my gosh. But you'll have to play Emerald Amethyst to get this combo. And then, so you're not playing Steel to ping damage, so you have to do challenges to deal damage. But with Beast Relentless, it makes it a 4-quester. So, you know, if you're able to unexert it and quest with it like 2 or 3 times, that's like a lot of lore. Again, a gimmicky combo, but it's kind of interesting. Trident. I haven't seen this one yet. Banish this item. Chosen character gets +1 strength this turn for each card in your hand. Okay, so not really too relevant there. Ursula, another location that's a rare for Amethyst. I'm afraid to read it. Ursula's Lair, Eye of the Storm. Ooh, 2 to move, 3 cost uninkable location for only 6 toughness. I'm afraid the ability might be pretty good. Whenever a character is banished here, oh, so it's just a Dr. Facilier effect. Return them to the hand. So whenever a character here is banished in a challenge, so whether you challenge or your opponent challenges, you're going to gain you 1 lore passively, 6 strength. That's kind of weak. And then your character's name Ursula, get +1 while here. It should also have the effect of Ursula being able to move there for free. Similar to RLS Legacy, allowing Jim Hawkins to move for free as well.